Okay, so today I'm gonna get through the last two of the what do you call it? Jackie K poems. So I've done four of the Jackie K poems, lectured on four of them on the channel. Okay, I've explained four of them, and what I'm gonna do today is I'm hopefully gonna finish off the other two. So today we're gonna look at whilst Layla sleeps. Okay, and then we're also going to look at the final poem, which I've forgotten. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be the final one that I've not covered yet, basically. Okay, so today we're going to look at, like I said, Whilst Layla Sleeps, and it's another poem from Jackie K that you could sort of call like a crisis poem or like a poem that deals with a poem of sadness or a poem of hardship, difficulty, pain, a pain poem. One of these, it's like in sort of line with her other poetry, which deals with ideas of losing someone, people passing away, like her mother, that kind of thing. Also, in terms of this poem, it's again one of those poems where we are gonna read it as if it's not talking about Jackie K herself, but we're just gonna assume that she is sort of taking on the mind of the speaker and she's sort of like putting herself in a situation where where she's imagining herself in a situation, okay, and thinking about what it would be like to be that person and how they would feel and all that stuff. Okay. Now in this poem, the specific situation, it's a bit hard to say, okay, in terms of like exactly what the situation is. Okay. All we know for sure is that it's about a mother and a mother who is in a situation, a difficult situation that she needs to try and escape from, that she's got people that are after her in some way, that are sort of trying to find her, and she's trying to avoid them. Okay. Now there's been different readings of this poem in terms of, excuse me, in terms of it being about maybe a mother who is maybe an immigrant and maybe they are trying to avoid immigration officers and they're worried about, if they get caught by immigration officers that they're going to be sent back to um, their home country, which is a dangerous place, something like that. That's like one kind of reading of it. We can't say for sure. All we know is that it's a mother in a difficult, um, scary situation, and she has a young child with her, which is Layla, her daughter, and we are now going to be put into that situation with the mother, okay, with the speaker, and we're going to see what it's like to be in that situation. Okay, that's the premise of the poem and the idea of the poem. Okay, so the poem begins. Poem begins. I am moving in the dead of night, packing things, turning out lights, my fingers tie knots like fishnets. So again, the idea is that the mother is in the situation that she's trying to escape from, that she knows that people are coming after her. We'll assume it's the police or again, immigration officers or some kind of law enforcement that are sort of chasing her, trying to find her. She's trying to avoid them. And so she's now in the middle of the night so that she doesn't get seen, so people won't see her and maybe phone the police on her or something. She's trying to move. She's gonna leave her home because she's got the suspicion or the idea that soon law enforcement will show up, or whoever it is that's chasing her will show up and they'll catch her. Okay? Packing things, turning out lights, so she's in a rush, she's in a panicked kind of state. My fingers tie knots like fishnets. Now there's a sort of double meaning to this. One is obviously that she's tying up her belongings, she's packing up her belongings, and she has a lot of things to tie up. She's essentially taking everything that's in her house that's important that she wants to take with her, and she's collecting it all and tying it all up. And so it's a lot of stuff for her to do. So she's very panicked. She's very anxious. She's in a state of what's the word? Pressure. She's in a state of pressure and she high adrenaline, etc. So that's one meaning. She has a lot of things that she's putting together and tying up to take with her. Okay, and they're valuable things. Okay, and then the other meaning is that she herself, okay, is trying to avoid being caught like a fish. Like fishnet is a trap that a fisherman sets for fish to swim into and then they can't get out of. So she herself is trying to avoid being caught or she herself at this moment feels like she is in the middle of being caught inside of a net, um, and she wants to try and get away from that. Okay, that would be the allusion or the reference to the fishnet thing, huh? Maybe to some extent because she's tying the knots, you could say also she might feel some level of responsibility or guilt or something for the situation that she's in. Again, we don't have enough information from the poem directly itself to tell us one way or another, what she's done, if she's done anything, who's chasing her. All of those things are like open questions. And one of the reasons maybe why the poet wrote it this way is maybe because it does a nice job of reflecting the um the sort of situation and state of uncertainty that the a person who's in this kind of situation would feel. So a mother in this situation will have many questions, and many of them will be out of her she won't be able to answer them. They'll be out of her grasp, okay? She may not even know the right questions to ask, and the level of emotional pain and panic and fear and all of that she's feeling at the moment will mean that her mind is sort of blank when it comes to a lot of things about what's going on. Okay, it's like when you're in a very, very stressful, difficult situation, okay, um, it becomes hard to know what's what. It becomes hard to even register like what's going on properly because there's too much adrenaline going through your body, through your mind, too many thoughts, too much pressure. And so it kind of reflects the fact that we don't know who's chasing her and all that. It kind of reflects what she herself will likely have been feeling. Okay, a person in the situation will likely have been feeling. So that's one reason possibly why we don't get anything solid. Um, okay. All right. So it says, I want to be in my mother's house, but she's all the way over the other side of the world. Again, this would lend credence, it um, would lend evidence to the idea that this is a immigrant mother, excuse me, a mother who has left her country in order to try and, escape something or maybe have a better life for her child, etc., etc. And her family, her safety, her home, her protection of her mother and all that is far away from her at this point. This is also this is also kind of a theme which we see in other poems from Jackie Kay. For example, with Gap here, you have the idea that her son, the speaker's son, is far away, um, and far away from home. This idea being like far away from home is like a common theme that runs through Jackie Kay's poetry. You also see it, I guess, in my grandmother's houses where the grandmother is far away from her past and she gets taken far away from um her the home that she's been used to for a long time. She gets moved somewhere else. So it's like a very common theme, being far away from a place of safety or a place of comfort, a place that place that you would like to go back to, something like that. But you can't. Okay. Boxes I can't see out of the back window. Okay, so what she's saying basically is that in her car, she's taken everything out of the house or everything important out of the house, and it's so much stuff that the boot of the car is not big enough to fit it all. So she has now stacked up the boxes inside the car as well. Okay, so her car is full of her stuff. Okay, so it goes on to say, Layla is a bundle in her car seat. This is the baby that she's talking about. Her small mouth hanging open. Maybe it is not innocence. After all, it could be the sleep of oblivion. So this is one of the lines in the poem which, it takes some time to try and understand, and it's a bit difficult to understand again what it is that she's talking about. So obviously, just to begin with, Layla is a bundle in her car seat, her small mouth hanging open. This is a reference to just Layla is a small child. She's an infant. She's a baby. Um, and after that, maybe it is not innocence after all. It could be the sleep of oblivion. This is a difficult line to try and understand. Um, Essentially, what I get from this is that she's saying that um, generally, it's understood that children, infants are unaware of what's going on. Okay, it's they're unaware of what's going on, and um, that because of this, they don't feel the sort of same uh, pressures, or they don't feel the same, obviously, the same stresses and things that we do because they lack awareness to be able to think about these things, right? They don't, if you're not able to recognize problems, if you're not able to see that problems are there, then you won't obviously feel any pressure from those problems or any stress from those problems. So children, that's why children are stress free. Um, Hopefully you aim to make your children stress free as much as you can. You know, you protect them from different problems and shelter them from different problems, and that way they can have a childhood which is supposed to be some like an idea of like a kid is just carefree and enjoying themselves and not thinking about anything stressful or difficult, etc. So then she says maybe it's not innocence after all. It could be the sleep of oblivion. Oblivion, it's a difficult word. What does oblivion mean exactly? Oblivion, I believe, means something close to um it's something close to basically complete unawareness. It's like an old, I believe it's an old Greek word, complete unawareness, uh complete being completely forgotten or unknown. It's like the idea is that you are completely unaware, you are completely um not you don't have any idea of what's going on at all. Now, why does she say maybe it's not innocence? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't understand that part. I don't know what she's saying there. It could be the sleep of oblivion. Maybe she's saying that the child sleeps peacefully because it doesn't realize how terrible the situation is right now. And if it did realize how terrible it was, it wouldn't sleep at all. Also, maybe oblivion because what's about to happen to the family is that they are about to be taken from the state that maybe they were in the previous state of things being okay, and they're about to be now cast into this. She's worried about this if they get caught, that they would be cast into this other place of complete, you could say like destruction or like total loss of everything that you know. So for the immigrant, let's say for the immigrant who escapes, say for something like from war or something like that, and they maybe escape without going through something like the legal means or something, they just have to get out. People are trying to kill them, or there's war in their city and their country and so on. They have to get out, and it doesn't really matter what was legal or not legal. We're not thinking about that right now. All we're thinking about is I have a child and I need to protect the child. I need to get out. So for them being caught, like the mother in this situation, her being caught means that the life that she's been able to establish for herself in this new place where people don't people have not people have, so in this new place where she's found some peace maybe, and she's found some a new life for herself. She's built up a new life, being able to manage to get a house and everything. Maybe she's worked and all that. She's got a job and everything. All of this is about to be shattered, and she herself is about to be thrown into oblivion, meaning like a reset, right? Like a reset. She's about to lose touch with all of this. All of it's about to be wiped clean, and she is going to be um, pushed out of this place into somewhere else, into somewhere else. Maybe something like that. Yeah, maybe that's why she mentions the oblivion idea. Okay, but I'm not exactly sure. I'll be honest, but it's probably something in those ideas which I just laid out. Okay. All right. It goes on to say, my headlights are paranoid. It's related to the word paranoid, meaning anxious, afraid, etc. Eyes sweeping the street. So she's in the car now. Yeah, she's driving the car. A split second before they appeared, I thought I was safe. What is that fear? Okay, so obviously she's in the car and she's on her way to escape from whoever it is that she's running from. And all the time she's looking around, hoping that whoever she's running from does not appear and that she can get away from the man. Like she's being chased by a monster in a bad dream. She's looking around, trying to avoid it. Um, and she thinks that she's gotten away, But just when she relaxes and she feels like, okay, I've made it and I'm through, all of a sudden her worst fears manifest, and whoever it is that's chasing her appears. Now, just one kind of interesting thing about this part of the poem, when she says, "What is that fear?" she doesn't use a question mark, even though it seems to be that she's asking a question here. Um, and that's kind of interesting because obviously, if you're looking at it, say, grammatically or something like that, you could say that, it's incorrect, right? Because it should be a question mark with after the word fear. Excuse me, but there isn't. And obviously, Jackie Kay is obviously a very, she's obviously a very highly technical writer. So she did that. What I'm saying is, if she did this, it would be like on purpose. That makes sense. She didn't just make a mistake. And then the people who edited the poems, they didn't see either. Obviously not. It's been done on purpose, which means there's a reason for it. And what's the difference between putting a question mark there and not putting a question mark there? Okay. The basic difference is if there's a question mark, it means it's a question. If there's not a question mark and there's a full stop, it means it's a statement. It's a statement. So what's happening is she's making a statement here. The speaker is saying something, okay, instead of asking about something. Now now maybe maybe she is saying it as a statement as opposed to a question, because it could be maybe a few things, huh? One thing it could be is that the speaker knows who is chasing her. Okay, even though we don't, the speaker knows who is chasing her, and so she doesn't need to ask, what's that over there? She doesn't need to say who's in that car, because she knows who's in the car, right? Because she's been running from them. So making it a statement uh makes it stronger in terms of showing she knows exactly who it is that was hunting her and trying to find her, and they appeared, right? It's exactly the people who she was trying to avoid. Those are exactly the people that showed up and appeared, and she was afraid of, and her fears have now appeared in front of her. Okay, so there's one thing. The other thing is, by making it a statement, it tells us again how scared she is. Okay, because it's not as if she's asking a question about. I'll give you an example. If you say, "Is that a lion over there? Is that a lion over there?" Or, "Does he have a gun? Does he have a gun?" So that's one, that's a question. Okay. Versus, "There is a lion over there." Or, "He has a gun." The first one, there's a there's space in there for the speaker to be mistaken. Okay. So with the first one, there's space for the speaker to be mistaken in terms of it might not be uh, what she was afraid of. Okay, it might not be something dangerous, but it might just be that she's mistaken. Okay, it might not be a lion, dangerous animal. He might not have a gun. It might just be you're mistaken, and so you don't need to be as scared. Okay, you can relax. Because someone can reply, "No, it's not a lion. It's just a grass or something." Huh? "No, it's not a gun. It's a phone." Whereas with the other one, with the statement, which is how she does it, with the statement, it's definite. Okay, it's definite. It means that yes, that is exactly the monsters or people that she's scared of. It's the dangerous people that were chasing her, who she's been trying to avoid. Yes, definitely. There's no question about it. It's a lion over there. That guy has a gun. So now the only thing is run, run or panic or do something, right? There's no space in there for any doubt, right? There's no space for any doubt. So that's the idea. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, anyway, so it goes on. Now I'm gonna take the approach that again is that speaker has been, maybe she's trying to avoid immigration or something. It's law enforcement anyway, yeah, we can assume, right? Again, it's open, right? It's open ultimately, it's open to interpretation because she doesn't say. She doesn't say, but from what she does say, we can assume it is some kind of law enforcement. Okay, does it have a name? Talking about the baby. They want my name. Their smiles tighten my stomach. I bite on my tongue hard. Their faces. I have no witness. They take my license, my papers. Okay, so to begin with, the way she's describing these people, okay, who stop her car and ask her these questions or say these things, she's describing them to be sort of uh not human in a way, and she's describing them in a way which makes them out to be like quite negative, right? Uh, so the first thing that is said is, does it have a name, as opposed to so calling the baby an it, showing that they have a sort of disregard or a dislike of a child, which is the ultimate way of indicating someone is evil or portraying someone to be, inhumane, dark, not a good person, is their treatment of children or how they see children. So obviously, it's starting by that shows the speaker feels very negatively about them. And in this poem, the situation is such that we're supposed to view these people also in a very negative way. Okay, they want my name, their smiles tighten my stomach. Now, this idea of them smiling but it not having a good effect. So, obviously, when you smile, the basic function of a smile is to indicate positive emotion or feeling inside you towards someone else. And by doing that, you elicit the same feeling inside from them, and you generate inside them the same feeling or positive feeling that you have. Okay, in other words, you smile at someone because you're saying, I like you, or you're saying, I'm not a threat, I'm not dangerous, and nice to meet you or something. It's like a you're being like positive. You're showing them that you're not like dangerous and that you want to be friends or you want to be I'm going to be nice to you in some way. That's like a smile, right? And then most people, when someone smiles at them, they smile back. Yeah, it's like even children, like babies or infants, are like hardwired to recognize a smile and to smile back, but like instinctually, it's like an instinct type thing. Okay, now when characters, this is something good to know in terms of text overall, also creative writing, literature in general. I guess it's also psychology to some extent. When characters are made out, or when people are made out to be smiling, and it has the opposite effect of not making the person feel good, but making the person feel bad in some type of way, scared. Their smiles tighten my stomach. It means she's afraid. She feels adrenaline. Um, Sick in some way, afraid in some way. Um, this is essentially the um the way that you describe, like, again, an evil person. Okay, an evil person. So the smile of a good person makes you feel good. The smile of an evil person makes you feel extremely nervous and bad. Does that make sense? It's almost worse when an evil person smiles at you as compared to when an evil person is just angry or something, because you would expect them to be angry, and so it fits. But when they smile, it makes you feel on edge and tense because you don't know what they're gonna do, right? Why are they smiling? They're up to something, right? That's why if you look at a lot of films and a lot of you look at a lot of like classic stories, the ones that feature the most evil characters have the evil characters smile and laugh and joke almost. I guess it, to some extent, you could say if you look at old depictions of like the devil, a lot of the time the devil would be smiling, right? The devil would be smiling. Even in the comics and stuff, they do this. The devil's smiling, and it makes the devil seem even more like sort of frightening. That's the idea. Anyway, I say all that to say basically she's looking at these people as if they are essentially like the devil, huh? That uh, they're they're dangerous, evil, scary, and that's what she's feeling at this point. Okay. So they ask her for her license, her papers. So maybe she did have immigration papers or something. And this picture here doesn't do a good job of the picture doesn't do really a good job in terms of how they might have looked. But I'm using AI to generate these images. So um the good AI I was using ran out of what do you call it, free tokens for it, and so I didn't want to pay for it. Anyway, so basically this is from the free AI generation. But anyway, you get the point. They're supposed to be like sort of detectives or something, I guess, right? So anyway, there's nothing to do but go with the men in plain suits. Layla stars and opens her eyes wide. So basically, whoever it is that stopped her, again, we can assume law enforcement, they've told her to, get out the car or follow us or whatever, and she's now sort of being detained in some way. Her worst fear has been realized. Okay, it's happened. Layla stars and opens her eyes wide, so the kid is woken up. I try and say something to soothe, so now she's trying to comfort her child. My voice is a house with the roof blown off. It's a very nice metaphor. Very nice metaphor. A very nice metaphor, which, excuse me, which basically describes how the words that she's saying, the words that she's saying, she feels, I guess, are quite useless, or she feels like they are not, they are not what they're supposed to be. In other words, she's trying to say things to make her child feel better, to feel calm, but the words themselves, because she's in such a bad situation, it's like if the house has no roof, it defeats the purpose of the house. The point of a house is to shelter you from the elements, from the weather and everything, and animals and all that. But if there's no roof on the house, everything can get inside, right? So her words, which are meant to make the child feel better and soothe her and so on, they're not landing like she wants them to, or they're not landing like they should, because in a way she's sort of just saying them, knowing that the words that she's saying are not true. Okay? She's just saying them to make the baby feel better, but the words themselves uh are empty in a way because she knows that she's in a bad situation and that it's about to get worse. Okay? Like a house that doesn't have a roof on it, everyone inside the house is going to be cold, they're going to get soaked with the rain, they're going to get animals and things probably going to jump into. Situation is bad. Situation is very bad, and she just can't say the words without recognizing that. Even when she's trying to make the kid feel better, she recognizes that things are really terrible, and there's no words that she can say which effectively will um change that. Okay, which will change that. Which is what she lays out here. What do I tell my daughter? We are done for. Again, no question mark. See that? No question mark. Statement again. Meaning she's not actually asking, what do I tell her? Or she's not asking, are we done for? But she is saying that we are definitely done for, that the situation is terrible and it's just gonna get worse. There's nothing that she can do. There is a need to worry. I cannot lie to her. The night dreams my terror. So essentially, the speaker at this point is completely broken. Okay. And even the way she's speaking is now being affected by her situation. The night dreams my terror. This also is like a sort of sentence, which, uh, in one sense, you could, if you don't read this carefully, you could misjudge it as like sort of a messy sentence or something, like grammatically incorrect or something. But what she's doing in this sentence is she's almost sort of laying out the idea or the feeling that the mum is speaking so fast and with so much panic and fear that the things that she's saying are like getting mixed up. So the way that this would normally be written would be something like at night or at night I have terrible dreams, something like that. Or this night my terror became real, something like that. But what she's done is she's taken the word dreams, she's taken the word terror and night, and she's put them together in a way which is like stumbly because again it reflects her situation. Like night terror means nightmare. Uh, terrible dream obviously means nightmare also. And the night itself means like the evening when she's been uh, arrested or whatever. Okay, so it's like those things all put together in a way which shows her being sort of very emotional. Also, there's obviously a personification in that the night itself now it seems to be a nightmare. The night itself is a nightmare, which means it's a thing which is not gonna which she isn't gonna wake up from and it's gonna be over. But she's in a situation which is so bad that everything around her has become affected by it. She can't see any way out of it because she's not dreaming. She just feels like she's in a nightmare. She feels like she's dreaming in a bad way, but she's not. Okay. A slow light tails the fast car. Layla tugs at my coat. So again, we could assume here this is a police car or something. She's in one and then there's one behind her. Layla tugs at my coat. I whisper her cradle song and she holds on. So we can assume she's sitting in the back seat of the car, police car maybe, and the baby is crying, trying to tug on her coat, trying to ask her for reassurance and all that. Um, and the best thing she can do is sing to her to try and make her feel better. Um, but there isn't really anything she can do beyond that. So, again, just it's one of those stories again where there isn't any, we're not given any happy ending, any kind of resolution. It just ends on like this sad note, basically. So, um, a very, very interesting poem, depicting maybe the experience of someone um, who is maybe an immigrant in some way, trying to avoid being, avoid the consequences of a law she's broken, maybe, while it's like there's a conflict between the person having broken some laws, legal laws, while trying to do the natural right human thing of like providing for our family, looking after our family, protecting our family, etc. It's interesting seeing that clash. Okay. Now, in terms of the key themes of this text, obviously fear is a major one. Fear. Um, Another one would be something like I don't know, escape, or another one would be something like the desire for a better life. But again, that one is sort of so because we're not exactly sure, even despite everything I've said, we're not sure what the exact situation is. Okay, but fear would be a major one, and obviously, um, love or the love of a mother, that would also be a huge one. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the poem. Okay, that's the poem. Um, As I said, I'm now gonna do the final poem from Jackie K. So all of the poems now will be on the channel. Um, yeah, we hit 500 subs. That's good. Congrats. Thank you for everyone that's subscribed. Hope you've enjoyed the content. And that's it. Yeah. All right. Good. I'll see you soon. Take care.